to Activated Women Global, and on this particular Sunday, on this episode, and this actual series, we're going to be having Activation Sundays. So I'm starting a new series, and it's going to be called Activation Sundays. And on Activation Sundays, you can expect a variety of shows, but specifically the first series, I'm going to be talking about insecurity, and I'm going to break it down. So the entire set of first series is going to be on insecurity, and then we're going to have some shows, like how we will have the live shows. Then you're going to have some sit-down interviews, so your Sundays are no longer your own. But on Activation Sundays, it's just going to be 10 to 15 minutes of wisdom with Dr. Nina. So tell somebody that Activation Sundays is going to be on every Sunday at 6 p.m. That's 10 to 15 minutes, and that's 10 to 15 minutes of wisdom with Dr. Nina. This wisdom could be in anything, any area as the Lord lead. Okay, and remember, this is for women, and this is to activate you, get you out of your shells, get you thinking more about your lives, your destiny, thinking more about purpose, and not just sitting around. I mean, I don't know what plans you have on a Sunday at 6, but I want to be part of your plan on Sundays at 6 p.m. So let's get into today's topic. So I have my tablet because I want to keep the video kind of like short, and as I said, 10 to 15 minutes of your time. I don't want to take you up so much on the Sunday. When we have our shows, those shows will be 20 minutes. I'm sure you can spare 20 minutes for Activated Global Women. Yes, so let's get into it. So I want to start off this series by sharing with you on insecurity. We would have had a program on Activated Women, a live one, where 3 to 4 women shared their journey on insecurity, and that's Woman Take Off the Mask of Insecurity. You can go back and watch that program. However, I felt like we couldn't go as in depth as I would have wanted, because remember, these ladies shared their own experience, their personal testimonies, and their walk and so on with insecurities. But I wanted to take some time to really break it down. So what can you expect on this topic of insecurity? I'm going to break it down with you and talk to you about insecurity in friendships, insecurity in marriage, insecurity in business, that's with business partners, insecurity in ministry, insecurity in friendships. There are all types of insecurity. I mean, of course, going to talk about personal insecurity. And all of that has to do with the individual, but I want to break it down, like I said, so that you will have more awareness as to start looking at yourself on a different level, on a different way. So your minds are going to be renewed. You're going to learn some stuff. You're going to change the way you are. You're going to think different, be different, speak different. In all, I want you to have a different posture. I want you to walk with your head high, not in pride, but in confidence. Okay, because we know that insecurity attacks our confidence. So let me just give you a backdrop of that, because I like to have these conversations, but also be very vulnerable with you. And I remember my level of insecurity stemmed around more external, that's body image, also internal, but we're gonna get to that because that came much later. But the first type of insecurity I experienced was more external, and that was more a body type of insecurity. And so, growing up in my home, of course, I grew up with 6 siblings, 5 girls, 2 boys, 5 girls including myself. There's 7 of us. And so you could only imagine that as sisters, especially not the boys, the girls namely, would have, certain comments that they would make, but they didn't realize that it was affecting me. Or at least even if they did, we were too young, I suppose, to think about the consequences. And so because of their words, their harsh words, towards namely my forehead, I became very insecure about that. Of course, I'm over that. I've overcame that. And so that's why I know that insecurity is really sickly, and it can become mental. So I want you to be able to look at this program as something that's going to help you bring awareness, but also give you back that confidence that we so lack in so many areas. We're going to talk about insecurity in romantic relationships as well. We're going to talk about insecurities in sexual relationships, and that's of course those who are married. But even if you are single and you are thinking about marriage, then you still need to hear that, because a lot of women, when we are insecure, we go into our marriages and we have these insecurities, sexual insecurities. It can indeed impact negatively your relationship. Remember, your marriage is made up of also a sexual aspect, so you want to know, you definitely don't want to have insecurity in that area, because it will cause a breakdown in the marriage. Amen. And so let's look at this, because like I said, this is just an intro so that you know what to expect. I shared that with you, and so we have just a few more minutes. I'm just in your ears on Sundays just for about 10 to 15 minutes, and only when we have our shows where I'm going to have a sit-down interview, then you would hear me for at least 20 minutes. Can you handle me for on Sundays for that? I'm sure you can. So let's look at some of these things. Now I want to talk to you, some of the areas I'm going to also cover in insecurity is what caused it, what's the cause of it, how to fix insecurity, and kind of like the antidote of insecurity, and give you more like a introspection question at the end of every session. So as you know, I am Dr. Nina, and I also have a couple other shows that I'm going to introduce you to here. One is called Wake Up with Dr. Nina. It is on every day, Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. And the other one is Take It by Force Prayer Movement. And I'm on there every Saturday with a Saturday prayer movement program. And that's on as well at 6 a.m. And now, of course, we have Activated Women Activation Sundays. And this Activation Sunday is mainly wisdom. Okay, so it's Activation Sundays of Wisdom with Dr. Nina. So let's now look at other things here. And I want to first start with what is insecurity. And as you know, insecurity is a lack of self-confidence, which is what I stated earlier. It is a lack of self-confidence. And when you find in your life that you have insecurity in any of the areas I mentioned prior, that's a reason and a time to really begin to self-check. Why am I feeling this way? What caused these feelings? You must know those questions. And most people who are insecure, they actually know, but they do not like to address them. So the addressing is a problem, you see, and that is something that I don't want you to feel here. So even if you're a person that's watching now and you have certain levels of insecurity, we mentioned anything here on the show that you are currently experiencing, it is a moment for you to reflect and say, okay, wow, you know what? Insecurity is a hindrance. It is indeed an hindrance to your life. So you want to ensure that you pay attention to anything that is mentioned here as something to help you. Okay, so we know that it's a lack of self-confidence, and of course, as I mentioned, it can relate also to our body image. You can have insecurity in your work life, your relationships, and of course many other factors of insecurities which we are going to address here on Sundays. And we know that insecurity can come from maybe an experience, a traumatic experience that you've had. Like myself, I've had that experience. And for some people, it's the environment. Insecurity, the root of insecurity can be so wide range. And one of the things that I was actually meditating on before sitting here with you was that the root of insecurity can be so widespread, so much that is so challenging and a bit difficult to put your finger on exactly on that specific thing, but we know it is something, it's almost invisible. And I guess because it is indeed a demonic root to it. Okay, because when somebody says something to you, you're insecure, especially when they touch a particular area that you're insecure about, immediately you begin to think some things. You begin to want to isolate yourself. You begin to want to kind of like remove yourself from everyone and do strange things, because insecurity indeed will cause you to do some strange things as well. well. And you want to pay attention to your mind, your thoughts, your heart. You want to ensure that you are healed and delivered from insecurity, because indeed you can open a demonic door, because insecurity will cause you to, as I said, to do a lot of strange things that you never would have thought that you would do. Can I do this? Would I do this? Until you've already done it. So those are some of the, so that is insecurity there. And of course we have, of course, the social aspect of insecurity, where people get into social settings, and because of the lack of confidence, and remember that lack of confidence can be in several areas. For one, it could be in terms of education. You may lack confidence because of your lack of education, or maybe you're overqualified, because even persons that are highly qualified in terms of certificates and being qualified in that way in terms of education experience, some of those persons are very much so insecure, because if you are highly educated and you have all the qualifications there is possible, but yet you get in a room where some persons may just have like a certificate or a degree or even less than that, but because that person is so confident, you now are insecure because you think, wait a minute, but I'm all this, but this person seemed to be shining more, So insecurity is not, it doesn't discriminate, in other words, and not to say, well, is this person, that person, or the other person. You now have to only check yourself to see if it is indeed in you, if that root is there. And so insecurity, for some it is overt, and for some it's covert. There's some persons who express the insecurities, you can see it, you can tell it's there, and for others it is covert, where you can hardly ever tell that those people are insecure. In other words, they hide it very, very well. It is concealed with persons that are very loud and the appearance to have it going on, but in their personal lives, they are what? Insecure. That you would find out that they put on just a flair and a show and all of that. Then some persons that may be loud and telling everybody about what they have, and that's a root of insecurity as well. So like I said, it's not this person, that person, or the other. Persons with all, some of you might think, well, this person, what are they insecure about? They have all the money, they have all the fabulous things in life, but yet those persons are insecure about a person who may be living in a little shanty. But that person in the shanty may, be confident, and a lot of persons are insecure because of another person's confidence. So insecurity has a very widespread root and very widespread areas. But I want, as the show goes on, that you look at yourself and you begin to tackle that head on. And so I'm going to try my best to help you in those areas. As you know, insecurity can also be cultural, because in some countries a darker woman is looked down upon. We know this. Think about, like, for example, the Indian communities and so on, and in some African communities, the darker skin. It's only now you hear so many people talk about melanin and all of that good stuff, but prior, you notice that people will look down on those darker people, and I'm sure some of them would still say, in my family I was the darkest, and indeed I had people who made me feel like being dark was something terrible. And you know what, one of the things I absolutely love about myself is my complexion in terms of external things. So you have that, and I'm just giving you tidbits because, like I said, I want to keep it up to 15 minutes, and I'm soon to that time already, 10 to 15 minutes. And so insecurity can also cause you to have mental issues, because just imagine you being around people who you think are doing amazingly well. Note I said think, because they may not be, and you all of a sudden you're insecure about something that's a facade. Okay, so you have, and this can become what? Mental. Start having mental challenges, thinking that you are no good, you have no value, no worth, you're inadequate. Think of the phenomenal gifts that was in Moses, but yet he felt inadequate to lead God's people, out of Egypt. Can you imagine Esther entering around all those other beauty pageants? Come on. And Esther is going to probably be thinking, should I feel insecure? I mean, the Bible never expressed Esther's feelings towards insecurity or anything, but one can only imagine, even if she wasn't insecure. I mean, at the end, we can see she came out at the top. So even if she was, she hit it very well and was able to forge forward, because one of the things is that even if you have slight insecurity, is to keep tackling things. Don't put it on the back burner, Don't say, oh, you know what, I'm going to remove myself. No, tackle it, look at it, and deal with it. And so she was able to get her crown. Come on, somebody. Say, I want to get my crown. You see, when you take on insecurity, anything that's challenging in your life, and you take it on, you just go at it. There's not everything in my life that I was like, oh, I'm going to do it and I know it. I got it down pat. I got it together. No. Some things I've done it with all kinds of anxiety. But because I went on it and tackled it head on, the Lord was able to give me grace in those areas to help me to win. Do you want to win? Do you want your crown? Say, I want my crown. So I am going to tackle my insecurities. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. And as I said, this is just an intro to all that we're going to be sharing here on Activation Sundays, Wisdom with Dr. Nina. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed today, and please share with a friend, share with another woman, and let her know that we're going to be on every Sunday at 6 p.m. Activation Sundays with Dr. Nina. And our first series is on insecurity. So come next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. as I look deeper into insecurity. What are some of the signs of insecurity? So come next week for that as we look into this, so that we can help you, get out of that and become more confident, become a winner, and take that crown. We as women need to understand that there's a crown for us. Okay, don't let any other woman look to get your crown. Okay, you want to wear that crown. So may you be blessed today. And if you're a person watching right now and you're saying, wow, Dr. Nina, I heard what you said, and my root of insecurity stemmed from this place, that place, or all of a sudden you're listening and you remember when there's something I wrote here. I know I'm going over 1 minute here, but there's something I wrote here for you. Yes, there's something I wrote here for you. Yes. And I want to ask you this question, because this is really going to help. And as I said, I want to leave you with some introspection questions. When did you first realize that you had insecurities? Very important. So every time you come to this session, I want you to bring a notepad with you. I want you to have a notepad, because I want you to take some notes, and I want you to write the questions down, because I'm here as a voice to help you. Okay, so when did you first realize that you had insecurities? What do you think is the root of your insecurities? Is there someone you trust that you can share this information with, that you have just wrote on your notepads? So don't forget to bring your notepads. God is looking for confident women that he can use to do his work. And even if you have to assign a voice like mine to help you, then I am willing. So God bless you. And until next time, this is Dr. Nina on Activation Sunday. May you be activated in the name of Jesus. May every insecurity in you leave your life now in Jesus' name. Love you guys so much, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.